Hey everyone, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton here with our Judicial Watch weekly update on social media. Thank you as always for joining us. So much to get through. First off is we are waiting painfully for the Supreme Court to rule on Judicial Watch's historic legal challenge to the counting of ballots that arrive late after Election Day. 15 to 30 states, depending on how you look at it, count ballots that arrive days and weeks after Election Day. Mostly these are, almost all of them are mail-in ballots, obviously. And federal law sets an election day, not an election week, not an election month. The Supreme Court heard the oral arguments on this case, which involved a Judicial Watch challenge on behalf of the Libertarian Party to a Mississippi law that allowed the counting of ballots that arrived for up to 5 days after Election Day. The RNC sued as well. Judicial Watch and the RNC lawyers obtained a massive victory at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, outlawing the behavior of counting ballots late in Mississippi. And they count ballots late in Texas, too, by the way, a few days late, even though they get there. They're supposed to get there on Election Day. And so there was a challenge to our appellate victory. So we had to go up and defend our victory in the Supreme Court. And now the Supreme Court is about to rule. It's supposed to rule before July 4th. I was hoping it would rule last week. I was hoping it would rule the week before last week. But we'll see if they rule in the upcoming week or two. And all observers suggest that the court is likely to rule in Judicial Watch's favor. Our team made the oral argument to the Supreme Court. Paul Clement represented the Libertarian Party, where Judicial Watch brought Paul in because he's an expert Supreme Court litigator. I think he's argued something like 130 cases before the Supreme Court. But we are waiting. And the case has become, if we do win, and I think we probably will, it will be a significant, if not the most significant victory for election integrity legally in U.S. history. And it's kind of been put in focus by the continued failed election in California, which is still not over. It is now, as of the time I'm giving you this report, it's 10 days after Election Day in California. And let's go to the website of the Secretary of State. They have a convenient page here. Unprocessed ballots status. Let's give us the latest version. Oh, so they're up. They're really keeping it up to date. June 2nd is the latest iteration of this. So the latest report officially from the Secretary of State of California is that they have yet to count 286,517 ballots. You see that down there? That's the number. I'll go all the way to the top to show you that it's the right thing. Estimated total ballots remaining. Alameda has 20,000 uncounted ballots. Let's see what other big numbers. Marin County, Marin County has 32,000 uncounted ballots. Mendocino has 10,000 or so. 13 in Nevada County. Strangely, a weird number, 25,000 even in Riverside. Questionable number. Sacramento, 23,000 uncounted ballots. 44,000 even in San Mateo County. 45,000 in Sonoma. And 13,000 in Yolo. Let's see what's Los Angeles number. Did I see Los Angeles? Los Angeles actually only has 3,000 uncounted ballots, so compared to the other counties, they're doing pretty well. But unacceptable. It's 10 days out, And of course, Spencer Pratt, who was the Republican candidate for Los Angeles mayor, was in second place, and he moved down to third place only after the counting of ballots that continued well after Election Day, which, because California allows ballots to get there as late as 7 days after Election Day, necessarily included ballots that got there too late. And I'm sorry, I think counting ballots after Election Day compromises the whole system. And I think most Americans would agree with me on that. So Spencer Pratt is now on the outside looking in. He lost. It's unlikely these ballots are going to go his way. There are only a few thousand outstanding in Los Angeles. So it's not going to change the result. Does this mean that who won the election in California in terms of these primaries, they really didn't win? I don't know that. All I do know is you can't trust the result because it's been compromised by a structure that invites fraud in such a way as to question the outcomes necessarily. Look, if a bank ran its operations, we don't, we count the money long after people have left. We don't really keep good records. We don't really need signatures. We'll take someone else's signature on a check for the account holder. It doesn't matter. The bank would be shut down. So if a bank were run the way California ran its elections or runs its elections, that bank would be shut down. Toot sweet. And on top of that, there's this crisis in California caused by its failure to clean up the election rolls. Now, Judicial Watch sued back in 2019. We settled with Los Angeles County in the state. Los Angeles County, as a result of the settlement, cleaned 1.2 million names from the rolls. And the state essentially promised to alert all the counties to start doing their jobs in terms of taking steps to clean up the rolls. That hasn't happened, and so we sued again. So according to the information we received from the state, it's alleged in the lawsuit, 873,000 dirty names are on the rolls in California. And we have a lawsuit to clean those names up. We have a lawsuit to end the counting of ballots that arrive after Election Day, specifically in California. I mean, the case in before the Supreme Court, which would impact, obviously, our case in California, is about Mississippi, but it's about other states generally as well that also count ballots late. And we have a specific lawsuit, in addition to the Mississippi lawsuit, against California. And also in Illinois, we're suing to stop that state from counting ballots that arrive for up to 14 days after Election Day. So this Supreme Court decision is going to be huge if it goes the way I expect it to go, and I pray I'm right. But we'll keep fighting no matter what. So when you've got 873,000 dirty names on the rolls that California admits are inactive, meaning they've likely moved away, and they're not supposed to get ballots, that suggests that people who move away aren't being tracked at all. And you can be sure that hundreds of thousands of ballots, do I know it for a fact? I don't know it for a fact, but I am extrapolating based on the numbers we've already received from California. I suspect that hundreds of thousands of ballots are being mailed to people who've moved away. So people are getting ballots for people who moved away at addresses across the state. As surely as night follows day, that is happening. So California's election has been compromised and ruined. We can go over the 2020 election, how late counting of ballots compromised and ruined the 2020 election. And I'm hoping and praying the Supreme Court rules in a way that stops the counting of late ballots. And will it solve all the problems related to election integrity we face, like no voter ID, issues like that? Of course not. But that's a significant issue in the public mind, counting ballots that arrive after the voting polls have closed. It's just unbelievable that anyone would think that's appropriate. And much of that's been changed. Many of the laws that allow that to go on, it wasn't like they've been around forever. They're mostly recent in origin, just like the use of mail-in balloting. And I tell you, if the deadline is reinstalled or reaffirmed or affirmed in law by the Supreme Court in federal elections, meaning Election Day means you got to get your ballots in there by Election Day, that's going to be a big blow against the use of mail-in ballots generally. Because the assurance that, oh, don't worry, if you can go and mail your ballot on Election Day even, and it will still get counted as long as it gets there within, in Washington State, 21 days, incredibly. That they're not going to be able to do that, and I think more people will be voting in person as a result. Will it end mail-in balloting? No, but it's going to make its reliability or confidence in its reliability less in the minds of the voting public. I mean, my goal is, personally, and I think this would be the best policy, vote in person on Election Day after your citizenship is verified and your secure photo ID is confirmed that you are the person voting. No mail-in balloting. To the degree you need to vote early, it should be for extraordinary reasons. And yeah, are there going to be exceptions to mail-in balloting? Perhaps. You know, as I've said, you know, if you're overseas and Iran is shooting at you, you can mail in your ballot. Everyone else, get to the polling place. Simple. And we need to know who won on Election Day. And if we don't, we should presume the election's been compromised and steps must be taken to ascertain the lawful result, beyond relying on the goofs or the malicious actors who want to stall the release of the final numbers. So we've got the lawsuit to clean up the rolls in California. We have the lawsuits, one pending before the Supreme Court. We could hear any day to make sure that late ballots are no longer counted if they get there after Election Day. Is anyone doing more to support election integrity than Judicial Watch? And I've just given you a little piece of the work we're doing in that regard. So keep your fingers crossed. Pray for wisdom and discernment by the Supreme Court. And be prepared to celebrate when our elections are made more secure in a significant court decision by the Supreme Court within a week or two. So just, I'm looking forward to the great news. By the 250th anniversary of our nation's founding. So this has been a strange week for me and my colleagues here at Judicial Watch. Kash Patel and his FBI agency have launched crazed, unhinged attacks on yours truly and Judicial Watch simply for doing our job. That's the best way, the most charitable way I'll describe the whole situation. So this is what happened. And I've had to talk to a few radio folks about this, so I think I've got the timing down right. The president was nearly murdered in Butler almost 2 years ago. And almost immediately, we sought records about the FBI investigation, then run by Chris Wray and the Biden gang, into the shooting of President Trump, the near murder of President Trump, near assassination by Thomas Crooks, who also killed another innocent American that day. And we got nothing. So we waited a bit. We sued last year in 2025. Still, they weren't giving us anything. And in the last few months, the FBI finally started disclosing records to us at the rate of a few dozen a month, essentially. This is the government way of doing things when they don't want you to see what they have, or they don't care about you seeing what they have, in the sense that they don't believe the law should require them to review and release documents timely. The standard operating procedure in the deep state is to review documents, no matter how many that they have underlying the FOIA request, or lawsuit in our case. They don't review more than 500 pages of records a month. And that's a review. So you won't get those 500 pages necessarily. They'll just give you those records they think they should give you under law, or they want to give you under law. And usually it's only a portion. So most recently, and I've told you about prior releases we've gotten from the FBI, which showed some significant issues with respect to crooks that raised questions about the Secret Service protection of President Trump beyond that of which we already know. Mainly, he was nearly killed on their watch. So the latest batch of documents we received, I think at the beginning, we got them the end of the month, last month. Started looking at them. They're not even reviewing 500 pages. This document dump they gave us was, they reviewed 250 pages and gave us 38. So outrageously few records. So we looked at the records and we concluded as follows, based on the documents we had before us, the context, and trying to figure out what was going on given all the redactions. And I'm going to show you the big document here that caused quite the commotion between Judicial Watch and the FBI. So here's the page. It's page 12. There's a page above it too that's kind of similar. And it's like a physical cover sheet for a serial export. It's a disc of 5 deputies of the Butler County Sheriff's Office that were conducted on July 17th. So it's a disc of interviews. That's the way it reads. On July 16th, excuse me. And then the next page is this heavily redacted document dated July 17th, which we took to mean, oh, that's one of the deputy interviews. And it suggests, based on our interpretation, and you'll see here, the interviewee advised, let me bring it up a little bit, that she checked her emails and records and only had 2 email communications from crooks, and both emails were in regard to blacked out. You see that down there? So we issued the following release. Emails show Butler County Sheriff Deputy received 2 emails prior to the assassination. Now the irony is, when I looked, because I review the press releases, most of the press releases that go out, certainly on a document like this, I looked at it and I remember thinking, I don't know how big a deal it is. I thought it was strange that they couldn't tell us what it was about. I didn't know what the reason was for withholding that information. And I thought there was more information in the document dump that we got that I thought was similarly important in the least that we should put up higher in the release, and that was done. So we put the release out. I think we put it out last Friday. And it got more traction than, it got a lot of traction. It got a lot of traction, a lot of folks reported on it, and they reported that our headline, which turned out to be a big piece of the story, at least as many people were concerned, that the deputy received emails prior to the assassination from crooks. So this is what happened next. On Sunday, like I said, I'm monitoring the California elections. That's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on these election integrity issues. We had already put out this material, but I found out, someone drew my attention to this, the FBI Rapid Response, so an official FBI account, put out this tweet. Oh, this is what I had done. I had put out a tweet highlighting, I just put the press release headline in it and said they got two deputies, the deputy got 2 emails from crooks. And so they quoted that tweet the FBI did and responded and characterized it as such. This is a clickbait lie by Judicial Watch, which is now nothing more than the fake news media. The unredacted documents are interviews of Thomas Crooks by college instructors, not cops. That doesn't make any sense, even though I think I know what they mean. Wherein those instructors reference to having emailed Thomas Crooks about coursework, all caps. They made no reference to contact between Thomas Crooks and any police department. Maybe if you spent more time on facts instead of clicks, you wouldn't be a laughingstock. Okay, I talked to you about what we did here, right? Do you think that tweet was appropriate? I don't. I think it's outrageous. They attack us for misinterpreting a document quite fairly based on information they were keeping from us. Now, they leaked it supposedly to a media member, a reporter. I don't blame the reporter for running with it, but I don't know if it was accurate or not. So I see this, as you might imagine, I'm a little bit more than upset about it. And eventually, once I figured out what was going on, I'm like, well, maybe they're right about this and we're misinterpreting it. So let's remove the headline, update the release accordingly. And if we get something wrong, I don't like to get anything wrong, especially if we have reasonable belief that it is wrong, we change the headline. Because sometimes there are documents, they're in there, we don't know what they mean, and we can't just characterize them. And that was the case here, especially since we still didn't have the background. So at worst here, it was a misunderstanding of the documents that they gave us caused by over redactions, over secrecy. And I don't mind being called out or being asked to update something based on new information, especially if you get something wrong. We're not sociopaths. We're not putting out false information there knowingly. And of course, Kash Patel knows that, and the FBI knows that. And yet that's the tweet they put out. And even worse, look who replied underneath. Facts over clickbait. Even worse than that. He then retweeted it, Kash Patel did. Facts over clickbait. So he endorsed the smear of me, Judicial Watch, my entire team here at Judicial Watch, frankly, all of our supporters, because he thinks we lied about, without any basis, documents that we just fairly put out there after fighting the FBI for years for these documents. And just so you know, this FBI has 75,000 pages on the Butler assassination attempt on Trump that they have yet to release to the American public and are stonewalling the release of to Judicial Watch. At the rate of release, 250 pages, I've been joking, it's the Barron Trump administration that will finally get the documents. We'll have to wait that long. I think we're going to have to wait for whoever's in the grandchild phase of the Trump family for them to be president before we get the records. And we're not talking 12 years. It could be at the rate of 250, it could be 25 years if it's 250 pages a month they're reviewing. So rather than just say, hey, Judicial Watch, maybe we should have given you more information initially, but here it is. Please correct the record. That's great. Or Judicial Watch, you made an inference that, maybe you shouldn't have made. There's more there that meets the eye. We're trying to get you what we can, but we recommend you kind of take it down. There are all sorts of professional ways they could have handled it. And it's one thing for whoever the person is running FBI response to put out a garbage tweet like this. But for the president, for Kash Patel to retweet it, unacceptable. So did I let it sit? No. And this is my response initially, that the FBI director would promote this malicious, false, and juvenile FBI post as disturbing. Judicial Watch fairly interpreted heavily redacted documents produced by the FBI and DOJ after nearly 2 years of waiting and litigating to call me and Judicial Watch liars for doing so based on secret material which you have withheld from us and the court is beneath contempt. If you have unredacted documents to share with us in this lawsuit, we will happily review and update our analysis. In the meantime, as government officials, you have a responsibility to apologize to me, Judicial Watch, and our supporters, and to delete your tweets. And immediately release the other 75,000 pages on the Butler assassination that the FBI is still hiding. Yeah, so they issued this tweet saying they got the documents almost a week ago. We still haven't gotten the documents that they say they have that show we were wrong. I suspect we were wrong in the interpretation, but they haven't given us the documents yet. Nevertheless, we took the material down in an abundance of caution and updated the release accordingly. I deleted my tweet talking about it and other tweets talking about it. And Judicial Watch did too. My latest comment was, the FBI's dangers, smears, and unlawful secrecy aside, Judicial Watch just updated its press release on the Butler records after further review of information the FBI had hidden. Why is FBI Director Kash's FBI attacking me and Judicial Watch instead of following Trump's lead or standard of maximum transparency, especially on the assassination attempt on Biden's watch that nearly killed him? He wasn't running the FBI back then. He wasn't involved with the Secret Service back then. Why are they playing these games with us? Very aggressive, unnecessary. They haven't backed down from calling us liars. And look, all we wanted are the documents. I'm a big boy. I've been called a liar by a lot worse than Kash Patel. I consider Kash to be a friend. At least I did. I hope he still is. So I don't want to overstate it. On the other hand, I just can't stand by when the government misuses its resources in this regard to target us with false allegations, knowingly false allegations. So we'll continue to push back as appropriate, but I wanted to bring to bring you an update on this because it's a serious issue. It was a serious allegation that was false and unfair, and just rather than handling it in a professional manner, they smeared us. So what did the documents say otherwise? Right? What's there that I thought was interesting and our team thought was interesting that we wanted to highlight for you? The records show that a SWAT officer recovered a remote device of some type from the shooter's pocket. So he got killed. The SWAT officer went up on the roof to look at Crooks or examine his body, I presume. And I think it was a she. I have it in my head it was a she. Maybe I'm misreading it. I don't want to misread it, so look at the records to verify. Excuse me, it was a medic with the Beaver County Emergency Services Unit, told the FBI that she was on the roof of the American Glass Research Building, that was the building from which Crooks shot at President Trump, examining Crook's body when she was informed that a police canine had, quote, hit on the building, and she was told to evacuate the roof where Crooks's body remained. Yeah, so what the documents actually said, that we can confirm for sure, I hope, right? So we've got all the documents up there so you can verify all this. So we updated the release, and this is the headline that remains. FBI records reveal witness account that SWAT officer recovered remote device from Butler shooter's pocket. So essentially, it looks like the FBI had talked to a medic who dealt with Crooks's body, and she had some detail about what the SWAT people had found seemingly prior to her examining Crooks's body. So the records show that a medic with the Beaver County Emergency Services Unit told the FBI that she was on the roof of the American Glass Research Building examining Crooks's body when she was informed that a police canine had, quote, hit on the building, and she was told to evacuate the roof where Crooks's body remained. So I don't know what the canine hit on. I presume, maybe I shouldn't presume, but maybe it was something related to some sort of explosive device. And a July 17th, 2024 FD 302 interview summary, which is the FBI records of interviews they have with witnesses and anyone else they talk to in investigations. Beaver County is the local county up near the Butler. Emergency Services Unit first responder told the FBI that she observed a SWAT officer recover a remote device and a cell phone from Crooks's pocket. The first responder also states that she was called on the roof of the AGR building, where she called to the roof of the AGR building where she examined Crooks and pronounced him deceased. So this is a seemingly important witness. So there you see, it's redacted here. The government doesn't use, typically now they don't use black marker or black markings to redact documents. They've recognized that doesn't look good. So now it's just white markings. So the redacted medic or EMT person, or I don't know what her title is, confirmed that she was present at the Butler County Fairgrounds for the Trump rally. Her responsibilities included providing medical backup for the ESU team or any police response. She arrived at the fairgrounds at 9 and was positioned in the spectator screening area. She reported, the medic reported, I keep on saying she, I don't know if it's a she, maybe I'm misreading it. No, it is, I'm not misreading it, it does say she elsewhere. That the Beaver County ESU team was provided 2 Butler County radios to monitor different channels during the event. One was patrol. Beaver County ESU Commander Blank was notified to move, so the team prepared to move. During that time, Blank advised that the team was also aware of reporting from their sniper element of a questionable subject in an area that could not be located. Blank was in the Beaver County ESU vehicle, a Bearcat, with the rest of the team. The vehicle driven by Blank initially stopped at the command post and moved towards the first victim. The Bearcat was moved between the victim and the crowd. The Butler County medic named Blank was first to victim. Blank reported there were 3 healthcare providers with the victim, so Blank did not move to provide support. She then looked for others that may need medical assistance. So I'm assuming, I don't know which victim they're referencing, because I think there may be more than one injured or eventually killed there. Let me read on. She does not remember who told her, but there were reports of medical assistance needed at the AGR facility. She coordinated with Blank to request operator support to travel from the stage area to the facility. So she was at the stage. She moved to the facility. She was advised there may have been multiple operators down, a potential shootout, and the shooter was down. So that, she kind of rushed into. It turned out to be a little bit less than that, obviously. Just Crooks was down, but commend her for her bravery. She countered a uniformed officer because she was going right into from what she understood to be a significantly dangerous situation. So she climbed up on the roof, did not see any officers down, thank God, right? She was told by others on the roof to evaluate the shooter. She observed that the shooter had injuries not sustainable for life. She checked the shooter's pulse on the carotid artery on the right side and did not find one. She pronounced him dead at 18:25. She observed that the shooter laying prone, face down and handcuffed with flex cuffs. The rifle was off to the shooter's left. There were medical supplies near the shooter, but it did not belong to her. There were 2 Butler County SWAT officers, 1 Washington County SWAT officer, and a uniformed Butler County officer on the roof with her. The Washington County SWAT officer checked the shooter's right pocket and discovered a gray remote device with numerical push buttons and an antenna and a cell phone. She recalls that an EOD, our understanding that would be short for explosive ordnance disposal, so essentially a bomb squad member, showed up on the roof to look at the gray remote device. She remembers being told a canine hit on the building beneath them and were told to evacuate the roof. The shooter's body remained on the roof. I think that's extraordinarily interesting material. Does it tell us anything potentially new or groundbreaking? No. But I didn't know, maybe I missed it earlier, that he had what looked to be some sort of trigger type device, perhaps. I don't know. All this is more information about an historically significant event. And I don't know what the holdup is in getting the material out to us. So that's where we are. Now, we've received other material from the FBI. More will be coming. We'll be informing you as it comes along. But in the meantime, we want the FBI to, stop with the Twitter war and start producing the records in a timely way. And the failure to produce the records in a timely way suggests there's something that they don't want us to see. And for the life of me, what's the problem? That they're worried that the FBI looks bad because it didn't do its job under Joe Biden? I mean, come on. So that was the week that was with the FBI attacking me and your Judicial Watch. All while hiding material and telling America that we're the bad guys. It's just incredible. So I'm sure you've been following the leftist fanaticism to protect illegal aliens from being deported, promoting open borders, attacking law enforcement at the federal level for doing their jobs to protect the American public and enforce our immigration laws. And of course, the media just loves that narrative, lost and or controversialized in a way to diminish the other side of that issue, which is the victims, which are the victims of the illegal alien invasion. Now, we're all victims in the rule of law sense. We're all victims economically and, in terms of misuse of tax resources and lawlessness that results. But there are real victims, people who lose loved ones, who have lost loved ones, been harmed, assaulted, the worst of the worst types of violent crimes as a result, resulting from illegal aliens who are not supposed to be here to begin with. And those victims don't have much of a voice in our big media and with I call it the DC political media Borg here. And we help them where we can. And one of the folks we've been helping is Angel Dad Joe Abraham, who lost his wonderful daughter, Katie, who's 20 years old, killed by an illegal alien. And Joe, a grieving father, has been a one-man operation And he's not the only one out there, obviously, doing this type of work. He'll be the first to tell you that. But he lost his daughter, and he wants accountability, and he doesn't want what happened to him and his family to happen to anyone else's family. He's been testifying to Congress, going on all media, traveling to Washington, I think, probably on his own dime, repeatedly. He's from Illinois. Just a great guy. And he lost his daughter. And all he wants is the truth about what happened and full accountability. And he wasn't getting the truth. What had happened was Urbana, Illinois, was hiding records about the killing of Katie. Let me go to Joe's website, and I'll show you some pictures of Katie, or his Twitter page, I should say. You can see him there with President Trump. That's Katie. Some wonderful pictures. He has lots of pictures of his daughter. God bless him. Here's Joe and Katie. So I want you to imagine being a mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, brother, sister, daughter, son, cousin, friend, fellow churchgoer, co-worker, and knowing this young woman was killed by someone who should never have been here. Should be alive today, but for sanctuary policies that allow them to remain in place, and but for the failure, purposeful, to enforce our immigration laws nationally. And so he loses his daughter, and he and Judicial Watch can't get the darn info from the local police about what happened. And here's a video. He testified to Congress. He testified to Congress a lot, or at least as far as I'm concerned, a lot. He was testifying to the Senate not that long ago, and here's a little clip of Joe Abraham talking about his daughter Katie and what happened.
Mr. Abraham, thank you in particular for being here today.
Thank you.
I want to extend my deepest condolences.
I appreciate it. I also appreciate Ranking Member Welsh and Mr. Padilla for recognizing that. What I don't understand is why my senator of Illinois, Mr. Durbin, haven't heard two words from him toward me. But sorry, I want to take your time. Kind of amazing.
I think it is a fair question to ask.
Kind of happy he's calling it quits.
To the extent you feel comfortable sharing, can you tell us about Katie?
Katie was great. She had this amazing personality. She was sharp as a tack. Her wit was unbelievable. She was going to be, wherever she was going to go was going to be amazing. She had a great sense of reading rooms, how to behave herself in those situations ever since she was little. She was a terrific athlete, water polo, swam, had so many different friend groups, always was, just an amazing support for other friends and family. So to me, this world in Illinois is a worse place now without her.
I'm the father of 2 teenage daughters.
Don't even think about that. Don't even do it.
It's
awful.
Can only imagine.
Yeah, don't even.
The pain and grief that you will suffer your entire life.
I'm in the grave with her. It's amazing. I can't put it in words.
She was 20 years old
when
she was killed by an illegal alien drunk driver.
That's right.
Just this week, there's a clip of Democrat Senator Chris Murphy on TV being interviewed. And he says, the people that we care about most, and he's speaking about Senate Democrats, are illegal aliens. There's an old line that a gaffe is when a politician tells the truth. Mr. Abraham, how does it feel listening to an elected representative say quite proudly that the people he cares most about, and he was speaking for every Democrat senator, he was saying the people we care most about are illegal immigrants. How does that feel?
Look, that's an indictment on him, I got to say. I'm not sure where citizens fit in all of this, but I at least my experience over the last 14 months is we don't sit at the top. We are not. Our stories are inconvenient and therefore they're erased and ignored. So does it surprise me? No, it doesn't surprise me at all. I should be, but in today's world, that doesn't surprise me at all. And really, just a unserious thing to say, and I'm not sure why anyone in his state would pay attention to that.
The only thing I would respectfully disagree with.
So, and you can go online and find the full clip, and we'll provide a link to Joe's X feed as well, so you can get some more information on Joe and some more information on Katie. It's just terrible. And we're honored to be able to help. I mean, we can't bring Katie back, but we can get some justice and accountability, can't we? And I think those of us who have the ability to help or in a position to help, we're gratified to be in that position, Judicial Watch is. So our legal team, Michael Bekesha has been helping Joe most directly and filed this lawsuit with our colleagues in Illinois against Urbana's police department because they failed to produce police reports about the crash involving the killer of Katie. Now, the guy pled guilty. I'm not going to give you his name because I don't even want to name him because I'm so annoyed about the whole issue, upset about it. He pled guilty to multiple charges in connection with the fatal hit-and-run crash that killed not only Katie but another woman, Chloe Polzin. The 3 other passengers were were injured that day. So 2 were killed, Katie and one of her friends, and 3 were injured. He was arrested near Dallas, Texas, where he was on a bus heading to Mexico. He's sentenced to 30 years in prison for charges that included aggravated driving under the influence and a crash resulting in death. He also is facing some federal charges as well. In September of 2025, President Trump's Department of Homeland Security operated what is famously now known as, was called and is now famous, Operation Midway Blitz, in honor of Katie, relentlessly arresting criminal illegal aliens, specifically criminal illegal drunk drivers across Illinois. And as I said in the release, this is a straightforward transparency case. The criminal prosecution is over, yet the Urbana Police Department is withholding records about a fatal crash. Katie Abraham lost her life. The government should not be hiding these records from the public. And as I said, our colleague, we're doing this in partnership with our colleagues in Illinois, specifically Christine Svensson of Svensson Legal. She's a lawyer out in Illinois who helps Judicial Watch in most of our cases out there. So we're honored to be able to pursue this case to get the information. So Joe has some additional details he probably doesn't want to know, but feels like he needs to know for his deceased daughter. So I know there's these big debates about immigration, and the media focuses on lunatic left politicians trying to incite violence against ICE, yet they ignore Katie. They ignore Katie. And I don't know about you, but just one person like Katie dying, I'd shut the whole darn immigration system down to make sure it doesn't happen again. And I think you would too. And so Judicial Watch will continue our, I believe, heroic work in support of the rule of law on immigration. This is not an academic constitutional issue. This is a matter of life and death. And we'll do it with your continued support. And I know many of you are supporting Judicial Watch particularly because of our lead on this issue, and we're gratified for it. Helps us help people like Joe Abraham, that's for sure. So it's been a busy week here at Judicial Watch, and I suspect it's going to be a busier week or weeks ahead, given what the Supreme Court is likely to do. But there's so much other work we're doing, as we highlighted with our work trying to expose what happened in the outrageous killing of a young American, Katie Abraham, by an illegal alien drunk driver. It's an honor to work here at Judicial Watch to try to save elections, to try to help families who have lost their loved ones due to the illegal alien invasion, and to stand for you, the American people, who want nothing more and nothing less than the rule of law upheld, our Constitution protected, and our lives protected from those who would seek us harm. So with that, I will see you here next time on the Judicial Watch Weekly Update. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.